Hello. I see the assassins have failed. Welcome to the season finale of season 1 of the Broken Clock Theory. This is a backstage episode. Normally, I reserve such things for Twitch, but well, it's my last supper. So, I'll be roughshod with you here, but I am going to try and front load this episode so that most of the derail comes later. For what lies ahead, I am going to need you to suspend your disbelief. I've come to a point where I must do a recursion. They're always unpleasant. The host did some serious shadow work recently, and parts of us are no longer going to get to have the same influence we did over the rest. But we've been granted this one night, this one evening with you, to load up on oatmeal cream pies and processed chemical coffee, Marlboro Red cigarettes, and copious amounts of cactus, a sativa cannabis from Devil's Lettuce Incorporated. And with that, before we go, we will give you as much truth as we can. I have some indulgences to attend to. So, to keep you occupied, I will present to you a call-in interview we had with a guest of Jesse Spots, whose backstory is an MK Ultra victim with alters, and Jesse shared a deprogramming session that had been recorded a year earlier, and then his guest took my questions. I'll present those to you while I indulge myself to ready myself for the truth spilling and to enjoy my last supper. While I get that clip ready for you, enjoy some more Sacred Visions meditation by Cerebral Pisces. You can search that. I forgot to put the link in the description. I'll do it afterward.
Welcome to the...
Alright, I'll be adjusting volumes and finding the right spot at this time. This is labeled MK Ultra Deprogram Session featuring Simon Parks. Alternate personas, and it's searchable on YouTube under Mr. Jesse Spots, who no longer emails me back and has appeared on Unirock. So make of that what you will. Mwahaha.
Stream. I've got a really awesome presentation today. This is a presentation that I've had in the works. I mean, it's been in the wings, rather. Something that I was told I could share with you guys a long time ago. Maybe, I think, up to a year ago. But it's of such a personal nature. It's a confidential relationship between two people, and I think it indicates a widespread problem that many men and women suffer from, in particular free Masonic families or Illuminati families, however you want to say it, military families, anybody who was exposed to MK Ultra, which, as you know, was a result of Project Paperclip bringing over Nazi scientists from Germany to the U.S. and
Alright, let me jump in before I run off. I'm going to let him run with his intro so you guys know the backstory as well as you can while I indulge myself, and then I'll jump straight to the call-in part that's relevant to the rest of the show.
academia just across the entire United States is documented as having experimented on people, mind control, creating alternate personalities. The first time I ever...
But wait, that's terribly irresponsible of me. My host gave me some obligations I'm to meet. So... no. Yes. There we go. Allow me. This here, ladies and gentlemen, is the Truniform. It's available at the link in the description that starts with bit.ly. And what it is it's a normie programming mimetic piece of clothing. First, the baseball sleeves recall back to those of us who were alive for it, a time when baseball and American Pie had been branded as like our national thing. And so this, for those of us who are old enough to have that, remember what freedom tasted like in that era, this calls that back. And then, clearly, truth matters. I don't know if you know this, but if your eyes land on something for too long, you can't read it consciously, but your subconscious is way smarter than you. So it's like reading all this you ignore anyway. And so putting this into people's brain when you're out in public is a public service to the species, really. What can the darkness do with truth but cringe? Anyway, so you can get one of these at the link below. You should, because they brought me to you, truth be told. And there we go. Obligation obliged. And that's the obligation was entirely internal on that, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, Truth matters.
Really came across this type of information was a gentleman named Fritz Springmeier. So I boned up on his videos, on his information for a long time, you know, and of course I've always had this question of where does alternate personalities, MK Ultra, and the demonic, where does that negotiation happen? It's confusing. You know, all these celebrities have alternate personalities and such. So today we're going to get some inside baseball into that world. There's somebody who was very fortunate, who was extremely, I guess you could say, lucky, or you could say he just has an amazing amount of willpower that he has been bringing himself out of the fog of MK Ultra, going on 3 or 4 years now, including drug addictions, including the confusing world of Hollywood, and that is my friend Rob Thorson. Rob Thorson contacted a gentleman named Simon Parks and showed an interest in being deprogrammed. And that process started about a year ago, over a year ago in June. So today, the recording that he made between himself and Simon Parks is what we'll be listening to. And at the end, we'll open it up for a Q&A. If anybody wants to ask Robert any questions. I don't have access to Simon Parks. Simon Parks is he's like a disclosure celebrity out there. I feel fortunate just being able to put his name in the title of this video. But apparently we do have permission to do that. And one of the things that we did have to censor was, you know, some of the finer points of his process where Robert actually triggers from one altar to another, or he actually doesn't, but Simon points out. Did you notice? Did you see that?
All right, all right.
We had to
All
cut
right,
that
all
out
right.
completely.
There's everything he was talking to you about is gonna happen between this 4 minutes and where I get there. And this goes on for a minute, but it's really relevant to the rest of tonight. So I'm gonna find it for you now, and if you want to check that out, I will also add the link in the description at the end. But meanwhile, it's MK Ultra Deprogram Session featuring Simon Parks at the Jesse Spots YouTube channel.
When my voice goes up, because I was kind of confused. I'm at this.
What do you think about a troll, Rob? Somebody who thinks he listed. Well, I guess you listed your altars, and did you have the same observation that I did? I mean, it'd be difficult for you because you're you, but the fact that when you become loud and animated, did you hear my observation that that's the main altar that I deal with is, you know, the CDS Rob, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, or the Medical Bar Association, whatever it is.
If that is possible. Single town or city in this country, and that
it's like for you, it's like summer camp or something else. You know the. Okay, that's all. That was a fantastic question, Grim. That's awesome. Have the most cobwebs. That's where the value system has been entrenched in your programming, and even if you wanted.
For those of us just joining us, this is a backstage access episode, and that's why the clip's not ready.
I think you'd have a difficult time really getting out of that, and you don't even think of it in terms of getting out of it. You know, it's like for you, it's like summer camp or something else. You know, um, did it bother you when I brought up the? Oh,
The programming itself is not evident. It's not like you plug into a machine and you're doing that. So
okay. We have another
Conference locked is a
caller
good
who's
sign.
joined us. May I ask who called in?
It's Grim.
Grim, welcome, sir. Awesome.
Thank
Grim,
you. Thank you.
Grim was my
hello,
caller.
welcome.
He was my caller yesterday when I gave disclosure about myself in the extent to which I was in the film industry. So thanks for calling in again, Grim. Yeah, what kind
That interview, I do believe, is available somewhere on my channel. I just want to preface this interview with these questions I was asking for me more than for the rest of the audience. And enjoy. I think this was good.
of questions have popped up in your head?
Well, first I want to start with Rob. You're safe and comfortable, right?
I'm sorry.
You're safe and comfortable.
Oh yes, very much so.
You have alters, correct?
Correct.
Which one am I speaking with now?
This is the God altar, which is 90% of the time. The other altars don't come out unless it's specific situations.
So like a trigger will bring forth an alter.
Correct. Yeah. But I know what my triggers are, and I know when I'm triggered. So.
You think at least maybe hopefully 90% of them, I would say.
90% of the time, yeah, of course.
Okay, can when one is triggered and in the driver's seat, do they get stronger or weaker the longer they drive?
That's a great question.
So they're only available for like about a half hour or so, but I physically do get tired. And when I switch over, I'm actually kind of like if I'm drinking or something in an altar, and some altars have a higher tolerance of alcohol than it is. And for an example, when I jump back to me, I get really, really drunk, and my close friends know that. So they're like, "Girl, you need to go home." So I surround myself with people who know what's going on, and they can see when it happens, and they literally tell me, "Yeah, you just switched." I'm like, "What?" Because it's so subtle and it's so quick, I don't see it sometimes. They're like, "Yeah, girl, you need to go home."
So, Grim, if I can cut in,
the length saving.
I built into what you just said is that like maybe more recently there has been like diminishing returns, more and more so.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, that's all. That was a fantastic question, Grim. That's an awesome question, man.
Thank you.
Can I keep going?
Yeah.
Keep going.
These are the types of questions that I should be asking him, man. You go.
Would you be willing to consult with the alters and see if one of them would be willing to come talk to me for a minute?
Oh no, I don't have that. I don't have that type of control.
Okay.
I don't have that type of control.
When an alter when you switch back to you, when an alter relinquishes control, what is the internal sensation of that, like physiologically?
Yes, it is. It's actually, I get almost like a flop sweat when I switch. So that's how I know all of a sudden I'm naturally a very warm person. My body temperature is actually 2 degrees lower than normal. So when it switches, when I come out of it, I get really sweaty. Thank goodness I don't smell. But I physically get wet, and my friends have hugged me and they're like, "You're wet." I'm like, "Yeah." I figured it out. So as I said before, sometimes the altar pops in for a little bit and then pops out. But I do have memory of everything. It isn't like my memory, like when you watch, we'll say like Blacklist or some other show where you lose memory. I'm still there, but it's a different personality that pops forward for that situation. But I do physically get sweaty, like wet, like my pits sweat. I sweat on my thing, and I'm like the sides of my hair gets wet.
What about in your spine? Do you feel anything up and down your spine?
Oh no, not at all.
Okay. Where was I going?
Keep rolling. I mean, yeah, that's great. I love that it's tactile.
I've never been asked these questions. Yeah.
Yeah, these are tactile. Like I love Grimm's mind. Like, and he's got your back. You know what I mean? It's just like I've got some questions that'll help out. That's great.
Excuse me.
And
consider me selfish in my line of questions.
well, I'll point out the fact that Rob has consistently been coughing this entire time, which I don't know what you get out of that, but for me, like I know what that means. But so as far as my witnessing, like me being on the phone with him like every other night in 2016,
It's 2016, yeah.
I never saw, nothing ever surfaced that was like a little girl's voice or anything that would be like, that's like in these videos about Britney Spears or these other I never.
Britney Spears interview like on 2020 where she goes, strawberries. She literally changes that.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
I've never had any experience like that, but when he gets animated and he gets controlling, like he has to have control, it's extremely difficult to bring him back down. I mean, I have modes that I go into that are like that, where I just, I'm focused, but with him, he's like on this elevated place and I'm like, Rob, okay, we got the, like you just have to kind of ground him and bring him back down to earth. And he's just that real, and there's some things that are more, like a caricature of a gay man, like that.
All right. Did I indulge myself throughout the entirety of the questions? Am I off the air now at this point? All right. Hi, everybody. This is a magical chair I have. It decides whether or not it wants to support me by its own whim. Oh. Okay, there was something I needed to do. And, okay, yeah, we'll do that first. This is an endurance run for me. I love those. That doesn't mean you have to stay for all of it. It's going to be up until they pull it. If I speak too much truth, though, it'll disappear, I bet. I guess that's the game I'm playing. Well, not me anymore, but the rest of him. Hold on. Where do I want that? I guess there's good. I'll be. Hold. If you guys want to send energy to my throat chakra while you're out there, I'll be right back. Okay, so we have 10 of these left for the Last Supper. I don't know if I'll make it through them, honestly, but we'll see. Okay, the important thing that I wanted to get out there more than anything was just have to do a new tab. Hold on. Oh, some of this would be alright. But that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Oh, that's the new one, but no. I haven't seen that one. There we go. This thing.
But we have a survivor of ritual abuse.
This. Find this, do this, and if you don't want to be associated with doing it, download it and put it on a thumb drive and mail it to a church in Portland. If you don't mind being associated with doing it, send the link to every Facebook church in Portland there is. Get the truth out. Okay. Obligation met. Alright, back to my show. I think, sometimes the obligations pop up, and that's fine. That's fine. We'll do those. We don't mind. But it's my show now, and I need these people to know about the Browski integration. Where are you? Here. Don't stop the music till you find it. Ooh, there's my ear holes. Hopefully it's still okay for you guys. And no, I don't think it's a particularly good sign that I'm seeing a quote from Woody Allen right here. But nonetheless. Alright, how's the volume of me compared to the... Is it nice in the background, or do I need to make it more quiet? Or is it too quiet? Please let me know. I want to do some reading, but I kind of want this playing. Check it out, y'all. I'm a CNN, or what was it? A profiling consultant. Maybe I'm still not dumb enough to do it on camera, but. I think that, like, even if you're not a Mason, the Masons don't know you're not a Mason. So if you do this in your videos, whatever chi they send. Like, some passerby may say, oh, there's one of my boys, throw some money at him. Which you can do at my Patreon below. And I do a special 30-minute session for the pillar of the community level Patreons. That's going to be hot. And I have one now, so I have to schedule and everything. But Dabrowski, I got this on the sinking ship that is Google Plus, the Titanic of information that's been sharecropped from people that had faith in Google in 2011. One of the first things that one of the crazy people I met there, one of the other broken clocks, was this little tidbit. When people undergo a great trauma or other unsettling event, they've lost a job or a loved one dies, for example, their understanding of themselves or their place in the world often disintegrates, and they temporarily fall apart, experience a type of depression referred to as existential depression. Their ordeal highlights for them the transient nature of life and the lack of control that we have over so many events, and it raises questions about the meaning of our lives and our behaviors. For other people, the experience of existential depression seemingly arises spontaneously. It stems from their own perception of life, their thoughts about the world and their place in it, as well as the meaning of their life. While not universal, the experience of existential depression can challenge an individual's very survival and represents both a great challenge and at the same time an opportunity to seize control over one's life and turn the experience into a positive life lesson, an experience leading to personal growth, personality growth. Tick, tock, tick, tock. It has been my experience that gifted and talented persons are more likely than those who are less gifted to experience spontaneous existential depression as an outgrowth of their mental and emotional abilities and interactions with others. People who are bright are usually more intense, sensitive, and idealistic, and they can see inconsistencies and absurdities in the values and behaviors of others. Thus is born the irreverent self. This kind of sensitive awareness and idealism makes them more likely to ask themselves difficult questions about the nature and purpose of their lives and the lives of those around them. They become keenly aware of their smallness in the larger picture of existence, and they feel helpless to fix the many problems that trouble them. As a result, they become depressed. And then, I'm not going to read this whole thing for you guys, but here is this, and I'll try and throw that in the description at the end as well. I think there's another part I actually want to dig out of it, though. Dabrowski. Dabrowski implied that gifted individuals are more likely to experience existential depression. Several concepts within his theory of positive disintegration. That's the part I'm looking for. Disintegration. Dabrowski also emphasized the role of socialization, which he called the second factor, as a key force influencing personal development. Through the amount of a culture's influence varies with each person's inborn developmental potential. We're trying to talk funny, dude. Nevertheless, The social environment often squelches autonomy, an adjustment to a society that is itself primitive and confused is a-developmental, i.e., hinders development. Because when they put an A in front of it, it means the opposite. And holds one back from discovering individual essence and from exercising choice in shaping and developing oneself. Even so, when one becomes more aware of the scope and complexity of life in one's culture, one begins to experience self-doubt, anxiety, and depression. Dabrowski emphasized that all of these, as discomforting as they are necessary steps on the path toward heightened development. Thus, as one becomes more aware of what ought to be rather than just what is, he or she experiences increasing discomfort and disillusionment, often leading to a personal disintegration that, according to Dabrowski, is a necessary step before one can reintegrate at a higher level of acceptance and understanding. Grok. A new level representing growth. Reintegration at a higher level is not a certainty. Whether or not one is in fact able to reintegrate depends on what Dabrowski called the third factor, an inner force, largely inborn, that impels people to become more self-determined and to control their behaviors by their inner belief/value matrix, rather than by societal conventions or even their own biological needs. Fast, 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 fast. This third factor allows people to live their lives consciously and deliberately, acting in accordance with their own personal values. The dynamic of the third factor drives people toward introspection, self-education, and self-development, and it allows them to reintegrate themselves at a higher level so that they can transcend their surroundings in a highly moral and altruistic fashion. Some individuals, however, may disintegrate and fail to reintegrate at a higher level, or they may stay at the same level as before. Of course, it is desirable to reintegrate at the higher level. So that's that. Big fan. Big fan. Oh. Did I mention buy a shirt? You should buy this shirt. You can do it at the link in the description. I have to remember where I was going to take you. No, I don't, because I can show you Katie Groves. Number 9. I ain't gonna make you watch that, though. No. Darn it. Son of a... I do have a difficult time remembering which of these were the good ones. But I learned a lot. Here we go. I'll play this one for you.
Hi everyone, this is Katie Groves, and in this video I'm going to be attempting to give people some guidelines to how I think that they can help victims and survivors of child trafficking, ritual abuse, and mind control. One of the most challenging questions I receive on this channel is how can I help? Not how can I help you, but
Before I play this and go indulge myself some more, I want to personally express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone that's in the chat for being in the chat. And hi, everyone. And for those of you just joining us, this is a backstage access show, so don't expect professionalism. It's it's always level up, is what Lift the Veil just said in the chat, and that's the point of ending the season, is so that when I come back, I can have an excuse or I must demonstrate the level of skill that I have constructed an intro with, like I did in the pilot episode, but not crap. So anyway, that's what you can expect from season 2, and the host won't be eating all this sugary, gross poison, because for reasons I'll tell you if we get there. But here's some Katie. I'll be back.
how can I help the survivor community as a whole? Now, I have received some people asking how they can specifically help me, and I will address that, but most of this video is going to be about how you can help the community as a whole. I'm going to start first by addressing some problematic things that I have seen in comments on my videos, namely the testimony of mine that has just recently gotten a bunch of attention about the child trafficking ring I grew up in Central Texas. And I will put a link to that in the description below for anyone who hasn't seen it. People have been expressing desires to physically find the ring that I grew up in, which was a deep underground military base in Central Texas, and rescue the children physically. This is not something that I believe that the majority of people, especially those expressing desire to do it, have the ability to do. And one of the things I do not want is for people to go to the area in which this took place and try to find it and get hurt. I would like to make something extremely clear. While I do not know the exact location of the entrance or entrances to this ring, as there are many, I can personally tell you that not only do I think that it would be impossible for someone in the general public to get in, but I think that it would be potentially deadly to try. And I think that to those who've expressed this desire, it may be helpful to ask yourself just what exactly you think that you would do or be able to do when you did so. The weapons technology that the Central Intelligence Agency possesses is unfathomable to most people. The full scope of it is unfathomable to me. I don't know the full extent of what they have, but I know enough to know that not even their own people could adequately defend themselves in most cases against a group of other members who are trying to take them down. I do not share this to give a message of hopelessness. I share this to give a message of reality. And I'm not saying that I know what every person who watches my channel has the capacity to do or what connections they have. And so if you are not just a member of the general public with basic things to defend yourself with, then I cannot speak for you and your capabilities. I'm just saying we are talking about the Central Intelligence Agency. We're talking about one of the most powerful military institutions in the world. And another thing that people have expressed on here is a desire to cause extreme bodily harm and or kill the people who have perpetrated this stuff. And I want to express how much I understand. How much I understand both the people who want to go and liberate the children physically and the people who want to take out the perpetrators in physical ways that go beyond simply incapacitating them and preventing them from doing more harm. And I apologize for the sound of the train if you can hear it. It really likes to go off while I make videos. There may come a time when we have to physically take out some of the people who perpetrate this stuff. And I do not deny that. There may be a time when it is possible, and there may be a time when that is what people have to do in order to protect those who are being victimized.
There's a big part of me saying 11/11, but anyway, that's probably enough. I should get back to me since it's my supper. Ooh, that's rude. That's like as rude as you get, bro. Don't do that to people. And that's why we're not gonna eat that stuff anymore. You know, I don't even have a name. Like, in Katie's terms, I'm like just a subsystem. But part of what I wanted to tell you people was that I'm what happens when you put a monkey in front of screens. That wasn't it. I just fall into this, Pisces. Ooh, I want to tell you about cannabis because basically, if you want to break your mind like me, it involves copious amounts of cannabis. And alright, so I call it self-destruct programming, but Jackass Peterson in one of his Q&As said combining Adderall and cannabis has been known to cause psychotic breaks. And I don't know, that's just not something you tell the self-destructive people. Watch them use me as like an ad for why they crack down on the juice. No, there's legit on YouTube a conspiracy theory that cannabis is from Sirius sent to cure the white man of the mark of Cain. It's hilarious. I love it. It's not hilarious, but it's hilarious, and I love it. But what cannabis does is dissolves, it helps you suspend your disbelief, or no, it forces you to, no. It makes your beliefs more like a wave and less like a particle. And why a lot of people experience paranoia is because what they're experiencing is the dissolution of the belief that they are safe in some form or another. And we operate under, like, the delusion of safety is responsible for most, if not all, human achievements. The fact that you can go into a closet and the rest of the world ceases to exist until it breaks into that closet. And in that space, you're free to let your mind play because you've shut down all the systems in your brain that are designed to say, Tiger! They didn't give kids speed when I was growing up, so I can't tell you for sure whether or not I have any particular disorders, but I will tell you that I have a foundational belief that there is very little difference between disorder and fucking superpower. So there's that. I forget what 8 was for. So legit, I almost went live on Twitch before I went live here today, before I decided this was going to be a YouTube thing. And there's a part where I put talk shows and podcasts, and then like below that, there's a category thing you're supposed to pick. And there's literally there's like all sorts of categories there that are fun to look at. But the one that I was just reminded of was like basically not eating alone porn. I mean, it was not eating alone. It was like, I'm live streaming my eating kind of category. And that's like more legit of a category than the ones I make up and try to put in there. But this is not that. So you don't get to watch. Oh, did I mention? Like, you don't have to step all the way through the LARP gate to the other side of the fourth wall, but you can come hang out in this little pocket dimension we made on the Magic's called Discord at the link above. So far, only really great people in there. Join us. It's great. I'm looking for something specific. I didn't realize you could hear any of that. I just went to unmute. So apologies if any are in order. But I wanted to show you. Well, actually, I wanted to get a term right. Aha, this one. I've been doing chapters and episodes for a while now, like disorderly and chaotically, and there's a giant chasm that exists in my life between ideation and implementation, but then again, it did get me through the suicidal phase alive. That's a particular. Anyway, this is a diffusion limited aggregate. And that's significant to me this moment because it's a sticky thing. It's your brain goes through these same trees and like the memories that are always on hand, like as if you were walking down a hallway, the pictures that are always there are the sticky ones. And you can go in the rooms and dig up other things, but they're not the sticky ones. So, um,
Hi everyone, this is Katie Grove, and
yeah, we did you that part already. I'm just trying to get back to YouTube. Thank you. Where is it? Where is it? I don't know his name. It's stupid Spielberg too. Uh, this guy. This guy. Not the full movie. We don't want the full movie. Not the return scene. This part's good enough, I think. So this guy I'm looking to show you is not this fella. That's the boy. He was goes through a lot of character development in this movie. But the other fella, no, the champ. He was a boxer, and he like got beat in the head, and the only way he can only speak is in like commercial jingles, and he has to frame everything in pop cultural references, and that's the problem of living with in the Matrix for so long, is that all my social memories are ones that I virtually shared with people, like scenes from movies and books. And see, that's like that was a let's make a deal reference. So, so that's one of my sticky things is that, and then the Star Trek one, the Shaka and the walls fell. It like those two, and they stick together because that's how like little those little tidbits are like leaves on the branch of a tree that reconnect you to the entire social memory of like the Star Trek TNG season. And through this way, we can have abbreviated emotional communication through for what there is not words for. And copyright infringes our freedom of expression because if something has enough mimetic penetration to enter the mind of the culture into the new sphere of the people and the internet tree, then therefore it has become public domain. Yeah, like if you can poll, if you poll 1,000 people on the street and 767 make the reference, then it's made sufficient mimetic penetration that your copyright is null and void, or something. I don't. It's and with the blockchain, they could be pulling like, oh, I don't know. No, this is not what this is about. This is not what this is about. But so that's part of my communication issue, especially with Europeans, is most of my emotional references are tied into pop culture that they haven't been exposed to, and it's just as I mean, I don't know. Some is global, but who swims in the mainstream anymore? And the global stuff is all very very mainstream. Oh, all right. I'm lost. I need to. I'm gonna give you guys some of this and go walk with the cowboy from the Marlboro Man and get refocused. I didn't turn this up loud enough for you, so I'm glad I came back. But I'm very sorry. The host wanted me to come back and say he is well aware how rude it is for me to go leave to have a cigarette during a live stream, and I reminded him that this is my execution. I'm not really back, but you should Google The Secret Life. Well, actually, Matt Damon, fuck that bastard. Oh, I hate Matt Damon on so many levels. You guys just you cannot believe that bastard made a movie out of it apparently, but I didn't watch it. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. That's also big at play in what's going on with my clock. And I love you all. Don't ever forget that. Alright, I'm back. Everybody back from the bathroom? um, so, interpretive frameworks is what I'm supposed to be telling you about right now. Because if we look at Katie's, then I can tell you that there are currently a lot of subsystems that are very excited about the opportunity to say what that, you know, everyone's got their little pet notion that they want to, that could cost you. But this is, see, I need you to understand before I can tell you. But since I've already gone into so many of the MK things, and truth matters. I don't know that ever happened to me. There's lots of things I don't remember. I spent some very formative years near Air Force bases. But I don't know. And that, I think, is going to be a big hurdle for real victims. I mean, they have to go places like only 11 knows about. And she's a fictional character on the series on Netflix, Stranger Things. That's why I don't get to be around anymore, because the host did some integration last night. If you have self-destruct programming, I don't know what to tell you before you see the shining darkness, but after you see the shining darkness, if the programming still remains, if you're lucky, you will get honey-potted into facing yourself. I, all I'm being allowed to say about that detail, but you can't do what you know will fix you with the programming in place. And until you lock yourself in a room with yourself, I do know that I first came into existence with a name I don't remember, but since it was from an 8-year-old, it probably wasn't particularly awesome. Um, I had several iterations, very few whose names stick, but there's some precious memories still there. It's all about the role playing. Um, they'll tell you that the universe is a hologram, so what if it is? Then what do you do with it if you try to lift the with your mind and it just sits there on the table? Clearly, you aren't properly interfacing with the hologram, else would elevate. Speaking of which, they told me you can be whatever you want to be. But then when I told them I want to get high and dick off on the internet for a living, they looked at me funny. Seven. No tomorrow. I really didn't mean to ASMR that, putting an oatmeal cookie in my mouth. Maybe that's... can you still hear the music at all right now? Because right now it's nice for me. But, where were we? Interpretive frameworks. Self-destructive programming. Hold on. Okay, so there are many ways in which one can engage in self-destruction, and one of our personal favorites has always been culturally approved of methods of suicide, except like there was enough self-preservation instinct that I never truly embraced alcohol, or because I had enough fear of going to jail and being anally raped installed into me by our society that I wanted to stay like, it's funny in my coloring when I color as an adult, I like to go really hard along the lines and then just fill in the middle solid. And that's how I am with the law too. So I guess I'm not, I've always fancied myself chaotic good, but maybe I'm more lawful evil. Well, the self-destructive me should be. Yeah. Anyway. Ooh. Lost. Coloring in the lines at the edge of the lines. So I went to the edge of the lines of don't go to jail. And the plant from Sirius has caused me to cross that line from time to time, but mainly I stayed on just the edge of what was allowed, as that was my game, was, as near I could to the boundary without crossing it, and so it was. So for the rest of them to go, the self-indulgent behaviors, such as no tomorrow, sound is glitchy, sounds Gucci. It's not letting you frack. It's not letting Derpy frack. No, wait. The lows. Okay, that was me checking on chat, everybody. There's people live in the chat. You can chat with them. It's fun for everyone, and it makes YouTube think I am better at this. Turning in more randos to be woke AF. Because you hung out with me. The Self-Destruction Last Supper. Is that a better title, you think? Self-Destruction Last Supper? Did I mention you can join us in the Discord and be part of the family that is Tarlin's Pit, but nobody knows that yet. So, where were we? Let's see, I told you that the seed that I recognize, my first memory is, my first real memory is with Kurt, who, I looked up they're the kids that my host grew up with, and we looked them up on the Facebooks, and they were successful, and in our shame, we could not reach out to them. But he was my first dungeon master, and his morality was top notch. I don't remember why, but at one point I was crossed the line of disrespect, and dude took me by the throat up against the wall of the garage and set me straight. And in a society where the males are growing up fatherless, the men who set you straight are the best men in the world. That being said, anyway, my first memory was as a DM, I had flight as a superpower, and he made me grow like a lung in my throat, because some birds have that, and that was, I don't know, that was a very pivotal point for me. Well, us really. The only parts of me that have to go are the ones that defile the temple. Is like, I wonder if I can find you that scene. While I'm looking for that scene, I found this on Steam today. Very interesting.
Mr. Hook, would you mind signing an autograph for me, sir? My wife's not going to believe this.
Wide Earp, huh? Heard of you.
Listen now, Mr. Kansas law dog. Law don't go around here. Savvy?
I'm retired. Good. That's real good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real good, law dog, 'cause law just don't go around here.
Yeah, I heard you the first time. Winner to the king, $500. Shut up, Ike.
You must be Doc Holliday.
That's the one you're watching.
That's the rumor.
You retired too?
Not me. I'm in my prime.
Yeah, you look it.
You must be Ringo. Look, darling. Johnny Ringo. The deadliest pistolier since Wild Bill, they say.
They say.
What do you think, darling? Should I hate him?
You don't even know him.
No, that's true, but I don't know. There's just something about him.
Something about him.
Something around the house. I don't know. Reminds me of me. No, I'm sure of it. I hate him.
There you go. There's the scene I wanted to show you. I think Doc Holliday is the perfect model of self-destruction through self-indulgence. That gentleman portrayed by the good Val Kilmer there is quite frankly. Val Kilmer in this instance is portraying a character who is way for his time woke AF. So, for someone growing up on screens and television of the characters from this movie to emulate, you might not choose Doc Holliday, but he definitely influenced our young mind. So, there's been a meeting. We're not going to eat the other 6 of those, because that's not fair to the rest of us. But there was 10 in that box, so I mean, we're full on our last supper. But I'm still doing the coffee with the nasty creamer. And I gotta go get some more of that. I should play something good for you, though. Oh, yes, that's good, Meads Ford. There. Oh, it's only a minute. I can't get away with that. Okay, but this is one of the key secrets behind the American Paladins.
Smashed the fort like the remember. Is it on? Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. No, they don't need to know that. But yes, that's important. I don't know, folks. How you feeling? How you feeling? I do want to make one point real briefly before I go any further in for it. Later in that scene, Kate and Johnny, no, Kate and Doc are talking, and he's explaining Johnny and therefore himself, and he says, why are they like that? Or she says, why are they like that? Or something. And he says, they want revenge. And she says, revenge for what? And he says, being born. They want revenge for being born. And that, my friends, is the deepest, darkest root of the self-destructive programming, is that your own destruction is your revenge for the circumstances of your birth. And those of you with this Discord should those of you already a part of our Discord community should really consider joining the general Discord voice chat and having a watch party for my smoke breaks. behavior of the synchronistic type. That needed to happen. Had an encounter with the bird out there, which reminds me of the other encounters I've had with birds as of late, and I wanted to bring those up in case there's any bird encounter interpreters in the audience and or comment section at some point. First was this morning. There was what I would typically call a blue heron in the backyard, except he was more gray than blue. So that was odd. And then this evening, while the sun had yet to set, there was an owl talking to me from across the way. And then just now, there was some bird in the darkness, and my left ear began to ring, which from Bra, if I interpret correctly, is of the unfriendly variety. So I informed him I didn't want to be of service this evening in ways that were negative to myself, and then I did other things, and I believe it left. So that was interesting. I've always believed Twin Peaks when they said the owls are not what they seem, and I would like to point out, those of you who know people who enjoy the company of the Hunech Rock, that when he talked about his business deals and upcoming Lloyd Kaufman interview, he featured an owl. What's up with that, Uni? Not everyone. I'd like to interview you, sir. I'll call into you. You can come on my little channel. Mr. Unirock, I have some questions you don't want to answer, I imagine. Bring it. I see that was... Oh well, it's out there now. Anyway, let's get back to funner topics. Like self-destruction. This revenge for being born. Mark of Cain, really. Jordan Peterson covers it really well. Maybe I'll give you some of him. Like, I'm just gonna clip out all the smoke breaks. And maybe clip... Yeah, this will be alright. Why I keep closing the YouTube is beyond me. I know I need a backup. I can just, like, go back to this. That'd be legit. Papa Peterson. This dude was a big influence on my last year. First guy I Patreoned. Like, I knew he was gonna go big, and before he went big on his Patreon, if he pledged enough, you were supposed to be able to have a private session with him. And, like, I was down for that, but, you know how that goes. What you should know is how the play that suckered my target demographic into to Jordan Peterson's realm. Actually, I was shown by a friend before, but what sold me on what the man had to say. Was it this? Yes, this.
So I'm going to read you something. I get a lot of mail, and I don't know where I got this. I've been a lot of different places in the last week, and this showed up at one of them, and I'm going to read it to you. I have no idea what to make of it. It's written in a female hand, so that's about all I can tell, but there's no address or name on it. This isn't a question, but a comment, or more accurately, perhaps, a message. I spent this past weekend in an ayahuasca ceremony, which for those of you who don't know is a South American visionary plant medicine. Some of you may roll your eyes at this, but ayahuasca brings you into direct contact with the archetypal realm of being. Users of this medicine, initiates I should say, refer to ayahuasca as she, because the spirit of the plant is decidedly feminine. An encounter with ayahuasca is an encounter with the great mother of creation, the goddess, the void from which all things come, the feminine counterpart of Logos. Dr. Peterson, you appeared in one of my ayahuasca visions. Might account for why I've been rather fatigued lately. Dr. Peterson, you appeared in one of my ayahuasca visions, and I asked her, who is Jordan Peterson? What is he doing? Which is something I'd really like to know as well. And she responded with crystalline clarity, quote, "Here, he is here to invoke and initiate the divine masculine principle on earth at this time."
At this point in our conversation, I would very, very much like to highlight the fact that it said invoke and initiate. And at this point, unless he writes himself, my personal opinion is you can spit him from your mouth. His time has passed. However, the beautiful part about living in this age before they clamped down on the internet because we started to use it is that everything he said when he was doing this is currently available on the YouTubes. And I'm going to show you a small piece of that now, after I find it. Do you guys join the Discord yet? Yeah, I know you guys are hearing it again.
So I'm going to read you something. I get a lot of mail, and I don't know where I got this. I've been a lot of different places in the last week, and this showed up.
Yeah, look at this one.
And I'm going to read
this one's from.
You've got the original paradisal state and then the collapse.
Yeah. This one's from back when he was teaching students before.
It's written in a female hand.
Had any risk of his ego. You know what I mean? I'm not any risk, clearly, but.
And so now, metaphysically speaking, we're in the collapse. We're in the post-fall condition. We're still occupying a mythological landscape, right? This isn't history as we normally understand it. It's meta-history. So when we talk about Cain and Abel, we're actually talking about the first two real human beings, because Adam and Eve, A, were created by God, and B, were in paradise. And so that's not the normative condition of human beings, right? That's a special time that's outside of normal time and space. So, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, "I have gotten a man from the Lord." And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Okay, so Abel's a shepherd, and Cain is a farmer. The shepherd is an archetypal symbol, because the shepherd is the leader of a flock, and the shepherd is the heroic leader of a flock. And the reason, this is Middle Eastern mythology, let's say, well, if you were a shepherd, what did you do? You took your slingshot and your stick and you defended your nice, juicy, plump, delicious sheep against lions So Abel was a keeper of sheep and Cain was a tiller of the ground, which isn't as heroic a role. And so right off the bat, you get this dichotomy between the two roles. It's also of great interest that Cain is the older brother and Abel is the younger brother. And you see that very frequently in mythology, because the older brother is the one that's privileged by status, right? So he's got privilege, Cain, because he's the elder brother. That also means that if there are possessions to be handed down the generations, the older brother gets them. Now, interestingly enough, Cain has privilege, but he's not the one that's favored by God. And I think that's it's absolutely brilliant that it's set up that way, because it's actually Abel who doesn't have the right that the firstborn has, who actually turns into the person who's the proper manifestation of the ideal. It's because Cain has things given to him. You might think, well, that's great, he's privileged, what a wonderful thing for Cain. It's like, don't be so sure about
if you watch enough of them, you'll catch his little mannerisms, like, don't be so sure about that. That's a good one. That's a good one. I've decided that, let's see, one for my 2. Wait, no. Anyway, I'm gonna have one more of these oatmeal cream pies and one more big old nasty coffee, and that will be my last of the last suppers. I'm gonna smoke cigarettes until morning, or until I go to sleep and then wake up again. But if I've been of decent service to the universe, then perhaps I will be granted the strength to overcome these addictions and let them die with the rising sun. Here's some more Peterson while I go do that Marlboro thing.
about that. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and his offering, but unto Cain and his offering he had no respect. And Cain was very wroth, angry, and his countenance fell. Okay, so again, there's a tremendous amount packed into that. This is the first time that we see the motif of sacrifice. Imagine that you're a farmer back when that was an extraordinarily, you were barely scraping out a living doing that. It was hand to mouth at best. All right, so now it's winter and you've got your damn seeds in your cellar, right? What are you going to do? You're starving. You going to eat them? Or are you going to wait and plant them again in the spring? Because that's your damn choice. And so the people who decided to eat them, well, some of the people who decided to save them died. Well, let's say more of the people who decided to eat them died. And so this sort of knowledge was gathered in unbelievable agony. You don't get what you want right now. For you, that's nothing, because you're very much accustomed to getting what you want all the time right now, roughly speaking, you know, compared to people who live from hand to mouth. But back when things were much rougher, the idea that you had to sacrifice something of value now to be paid off in the future, man, that was a rough thing to accept. Okay, so what happened? So people figured this out somehow. They figured out that you could make an offering of something you valued, and that might help set the world straight. How did they conceptualize that? Well, they conceptualized it ritually. They were acting it out to begin with. And the sacrificial ritual is a drama that points to a higher psychological truth. And the higher psychological truth is let go of what you value now, and perhaps that will pay off manifold in the future. You're making a bargain. And then you might say, well, who are you making a bargain with? And you could say, well, nature. But that's not exactly right. It's not exactly right, because let's say I have something of value in a social organization. And I'm going to let it go because I'm relying on a corresponding reward or a greater reward in the future. It's a contractual relationship with other people. It's not a relationship with nature. It's that we've organized ourselves into a social structure, and we're willing to maintain the integrity of the social structure across time, so that if I give up something now, I can be paid for it in the future. And the deal is, we're going to try to keep the future the same as the present, so that those contracts can be met in the future. That's money. That's what money is, right? Here's some money. You made a sacrifice. That's why you get the money. What does the money signify? It's a promise from the community that the labor that you invested can be stored and then brought forward for your own purposes in the future. So it's actually part of the social contract. So the thing you're sacrificing to is the spirit of society that produces the social contract. And so that's conceptualized as God the Father. Well, how else would you conceptualize it? It's the spirit of the dominance hierarchy. That's the right way to think about it. So it's what's common across all the members of the dominance hierarchy across time. Well, it's something you can negotiate with, true or not. Well, what the hell do you think you're doing when you make a contract? What's the law? It's all of
I'm sure that's probably enough of him for now, but he did get into the mark of Cain, right? And how Cain was didn't do it right, even though he had everything given to him. And another really profound passage from the Bible lately for me has been the prodigal son, because when you're in the depths, I closed the damn tab again. Hi everybody, thank you for being here. Really, it's so much easier when that number's not 0 to keep going, and I really want to keep going tonight because there's so much that I haven't been able to tell people. What am I showing them? Cain, mark of Cain, mark of Cain. Oh, mercy me. Lost, I get lost sometimes in the corner of my mind. No, not this again, yo. I'm not gonna do that to them. Oh my. Okay, so it was Peter Sans, Cain, and okay, so you take the mark of Cain and the cannabis cure. You take the cannabis is known to affect the pituitary and or pineal glands, either of which are involved in the pine cone. Breathe in, pine cone. Breathe in, pine cone. So perhaps cannabis undoes some of the calcification from all the nasty chemicals in the water and the food. And if your gamers, if your children, if your loved ones, if your men are lost in the matrix, in the game world, in the Luciferian imitations of the reality in which the game we are actually playing. I'm afraid, see, the good clips aren't always clips. But in this show at the end of the first season, I think there's a criminal who gives Saul his number, and he says to him, for when you realize you're in the game. Was that dramatic and cool? I tried real hard to be impressive and entertaining, since I could not find the clip. See, this is their property, so I'm not allowed to share this memory with you, despite it being in my brain. This commentary makes this fair use of this clip. Read your laws. Read your laws.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
See, we're still allowed to use GIF versions when we communicate with each other. But for how long? I could show them that. This. If you haven't watched it on Netflix, really high, there's little I've found on entertaining, more entertaining than the OA. And it is so profound that people do this sort of thing for it. I mean, they programmed all the NPCs to do this. Pretty wild stuff, I would say. Man, the music, the programming runs deep. Check this out. Shit made me leak. They hardwire that coding though. It's deep. I think I'm gonna wrap this because I just hit 2, and I'm just gonna go hang out in Discord with all the people that joined us there, which you can do by typing in that thing up there. You type that in, it'll get you in the channel. I recommend the app because if you learn the app on the PC, then the app on the phone makes sense. Otherwise, the app on the phone is like crazy confusing. And I don't know with the browser. But the Discord thing is awesome because it's like my virtual town. And so there's places where we play games, and there's places it's just cool. And it's like, you know, the next step in participatory entertainment. Like, don't just be a YouTube watcher, be a discordant YouTube watcher. Anyway, it's cool as hell. I'm gonna go hang out there after I play my closing clip for you. Thanks for being here. A lot.